Hello, fellow Disney Plus watchers. So glad you're joining today. Welcome to Your Thoughts, where I'll be reading and responding to what you thought about the latest Disney Plus episodes and movies. Before we begin, if you want to join in next time, just drop your thoughts on any of my review videos throughout the week and add D+ at the top of your comment so that I know you consent and agree that I'll be adding your words into the mix here. I'll not be responding to your comments in written form when it's submitted like this. This week we're talking about Obi Wan Kenobi episode 3, and because I was not feeling well for a couple of days this week, this is the first time I am talking about it with you guys. So let's do it. Random Guy 1001 writes, I loved the moments between Leia and Obi-Wan in this episode, and the Vader versus Obi-Wan fight was so personal and impactful to me. I didn't really like how easily Obi-Wan and Tala got away, but for the most part, a great episode. And yep, I gotta agree, I really love the episode. I think it's my favorite, and Leia and Obi-Wan, that dynamic is one of the highlights, of course. What I love, our hero figure, Obi-Wan, he's disheartened, he's a changed man, but seeing him try to remove the innocence of the child, which is Leia, is so painful because we get Obi-Wan, we get where he's coming from, and the galaxy is a really harsh place, and he's not wrong when he almost shouts to Leia, like, people are not all good, Leia. And it's so, with that energy he brings to it, it's so sobering, and he's so right. Of course, not all people are good. We live in a strange and harsh galaxy, like I said, but we don't want Leia to lose that innocence. And the whole tension is woven through their dynamic. And of course, the scene on the truck with Freck and the stormtroopers, it's really tense. I know the stormtroopers are stupid, but seeing come up with different identities, Obi-Wan and Leia, talking about Padme in the subtext. I loved everything that was going on. So much time for character work in this episode. And yeah, the Vader versus Obi-Wan fight, I really liked it. And it's totally different than any other fight between them we've got, or any other confrontation, because it's just Obi-Wan running away, just bowing down his head in fear and just deciding every time he faces him, like, oh, no, I'm not feeling this, I'm just gonna go around that other corner, and there he is again, kind of like a horror movie. And yeah, it worked for a mid-season confrontation. It was really good. And of course, the poetry with Obi-Wan being dragged through the fire by Vader, that's great. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Kosei Arima writes, this episode was good, but I thought Obi-Wan versus Vader was a bit underwhelming in regards to shaky cam and bit of lazy writing. Also, Vader theme is missing. That would have made Vader's presence more goosebumpy, I guess. Also, what route did Reva take to pilot? She was there before Leia. And on that note about Leia being captured, is it going to be mission rescue next episode? I was hoping that Leia's side quest would be done. And I have some issues with contrivances, some small contrivances in this episode. Like, it feels a bit like Obi-Wan looking at Vader slaughtering these villagers and just standing there for 5 minutes feels too long. And also later at the end of the fight between Vader and Obi-Wan, that Vader is just looking at Obi-Wan and waiting for him to get rescued. I know there's an explanation for that. I've seen countless people talk about the cat and mouse game that's maybe going on here, but still, there's a few moments where I feel like, okay, this is the script at work, and it doesn't feel real. There's a few moments, and I don't think this episode is perfect. But for some reason, Reva outsmarting Leia and coming out on the other side doesn't bother me at all. Like, I don't have to know every little detail, like how did you get here right now in this moment, if for the story and for the tension of the story it works. So I thought it worked as a cliffhanger, and I don't really care, right? So you always cherry pick the things you care about, and that was one of the things I didn't really care for. I thought it was alright, and it was a good cliffhanger. To me, that's my opinion. But about the shaky cam, I get it. There's a few moments where you can feel like the camera is a bit jolty, but still, I think it kind of fits, and it isn't overbearing, and I critiqued the hell out of the camera work on Moon Knight. I thought it was generally really annoying. The difference between the shaky cam, or at least the handheld style of the camera work in the Vader versus Obi-Wan scene versus the Moon Knight show, is that I rewatched the scene when I read your question. The camera is a bit shaky and handheld, but it moves with the movements of the characters pretty much. It is kind of immersive still, right? Even though I get it, you don't have to like this style of camera work. Sometimes I don't. Obviously, I critiqued Moon Knight for it, but in Moon Knight, it's just completely loose, and it's just the cameraman forgot his shoulder rig or something. You know what I mean? And that's not what is going on here in this scene, I believe. I believe this is very much stylistically, it fits with the scene for me, and it's connected to the movements of the characters. That's how I read this scene. And about the Vader theme, I'm not here to go out and disagree with you on everything. That's not my goal. But I kind of disagree with that too, in the sense that I think it's cool if we get one cool moment of Imperial March. But remember, the Imperial March only existed from The Empire Strikes Back. It was written for Empire Strikes Back. And in the original movie, it didn't even exist yet. So this takes place before that movie. So if the Imperial March is not in this at all, I actually think that is a pretty bold and respectable choice for the storytelling. Even though we all want to hear the Imperial March, me too, and it's cool that I would love if there's one Imperial March tune in this, even if it's subtle. But if there's not at all any mention of the Imperial March, I really respect that. If that would happen, I truly respect that. So I would actually say it's very, very respectable that they don't go out and just try to service us with the Imperial March, because that Imperial March is only in the timeline from the Empire Strikes Back and beyond. And maybe in Revenge of the Sith too, but as a hint, you know? That's why I like a hint in Obi-Wan, but not a full theme. Yeah, when the first episode about your mission rescue complaint about this whole show maybe being about Leia, yeah, I think I get it. I get it, but that was clear from the first episode, right? Kind of. It's clear that Leia is the Grogu, Leia is the Omega of this show, and I critique this show a bit for redoing that lone wolf and cub whole motif again, right? So I totally get your criticism. I kind of agree with you there. Like, I thought they were gonna do that. This whole thing is Leia, rescue Leia. That's the mission. And in the meantime, all sorts of character stuff and confrontation happens and blah, 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 blah. It's gonna be very cool, but it's Leia's show too. Okay, I think that's it for this week. If you like this video and you want to chime in next time, then all you have to do is add D+ on the top of your comments on one of the upcoming review videos. Feel free, and thanks everybody who replies. You keep the discussion alive, appreciate it. I'm thinking about wrapping this up. I'll be back with you next week with Miss Marvel and Obi-Wan, of course. And if you want to leave a like on this video, that will really help the video and the channel. Thank you very much. And for now, have a wonderful day and see ya.